Hello everyone, Brendan Snyder here and welcome back. So we've got the first new release of 2020 here, and it's the supergroup Sons of Apollo and their new album 2020. This one here just came out today, and we're going to take a look at it and review it here. So it's their second release. Their first one was Psychotic Symphony that came out in 2017. If you're not familiar with this group, it's got Mike Portnoy and Derek Sherinian, who come from Dream Theater, and it's also got Ron Bumblefoot Thal, who has definitely made his name as a solo artist in the intricacies and things he can do on the guitar, but became famous for having been the guitar player in Guns N' Roses, replacing Slash for a number of years. And then you've got Billy Sheehan on bass. From Mr. Big and David Lee Roth before that, and Winery Dogs, which also has Mike Portnoy in it. And then you've got Jeff Scott Soto on vocals, who comes from Yngwie Malmsteen, and he's done lots of solo stuff and things of that nature and everything. But you've got these guys that are sort of the who's who of musicians, and Jeff Scott Soto with his vocals and everything, who all come together and do this progressive rock, progressive metal thing. And their 2017 album, I think, really took people by surprise, and certainly made a name for themselves. They were able to go out, they toured 83 dates for the album, really gelled as a band. So that album was made not having played anything live, just coming together and doing what they do. And it was amazingly recorded in only 10 days. The new album was recorded on and off, they said maybe like a total of 3 weeks or so, but it was on and off over 8 months. So definitely took their time making this release here. And I think also having played together as a band live, gotten to know each other and everything, has definitely really helped this album here. The first album, in my opinion, the songs definitely sounded like it was 5 guys coming together, and you heard each of them individually on it. And for a supergroup type album, that can certainly be acceptable and everything. And as a progressive rock element, definitely enjoyed that. But for this new album here, the way that I hear this is it's definitely much more like a band effort, meaning it's definitely just as progressive and just as many odd time signatures and intricacies in the music and noodling around and things like that. But I hear it much more as a solid piece, and not so much as individual instruments. Each instrument or musician is given time to breathe in it, but it's not like I'm hearing 5 things at once that are competing. So I hear much more song or track-oriented pieces as opposed to the musicians noodling and things of that nature. And so for me, this one, they've really come together. It's gelled. It's great to hear. The other thing that I noticed on this is that each band member, in my opinion, or not in my opinion, but I mean it's definitely on here, gets their moment to shine or breathe. There's a track on here, number 6 on here, that is called Fall to Ascend, and that's got this rip-roaring drum intro track that Portnoy does on it. The last track on here, track number 8, is this epic 16-minute track on here. It's called New World Today, that's got this beautiful melodic guitar opening. So what I'm trying to say is that each track on here, there's moments where they allow each of the musicians to shine or have these like sort of solo moments on it. And I like that, where it's, again, they're not competing for that shining light, they're given that moment in it. I think it really comes across well. So this is the deluxe edition of it, and it's a 2 CD edition of it. And the cool thing about that is that while the first disc on here is 8 tracks, there's no instrumentals. It's all 8 songs with vocals and everything. The second disc has all 8 of those, but as instrumentals. So the vocals are removed on it, and you really get to hear the instrumentation on it and what each of those guys brings to it. And then just so that Jeff Scott Soto isn't left out there, they've got a selection of tracks from 9 to 16, the same ones. They've got these a cappella excerpts on it. and they're 2 minutes, give or take or so. So it's not the full track, because some of the tracks, you know, on this album are very long, but they definitely show what it is that he brings to the table as a vocalist. And so that's really cool to get with this deluxe edition package here. So the tracks that are on this, just run through this really quick. The first track on here, Goodbye Divinity, is pretty cool because it actually opens with a throwback to Dream Theater, this album here, Falling into Infinity, the first track, New Millennium. So the opening of it, you know, has this like Easter egg that throws back to that, which is really cool. It lets you know immediately what you've got going on here. And then it just builds into some amazing riffing on it, and it really makes the album take off. Right now, it's one of my favorite tracks on here, Goodbye to Divinity. The next track on here, Wither to Black, is what I would call their most straight ahead rock number. It's a little hard to describe. I mean, it's definitely still got their amazing musicianship on it, but when I hear it, it's just this straight ahead rock number, you know, song oriented, song structured piece. And again, I really like that, the way it moves from the first track to the second track there. Asphyxiation, the third track on here, has some almost industrial elements to it. It's in the background, but I definitely took that away. It's their most modern sounding number on here. The fourth track is definitely my favorite track overall. It's called Desolate July. It's about the unfortunate accident that happened and killed the bass player and road manager of Adrenaline Mob, which this band has ties to. But there's this beautiful piano beginning to that, and it's just a really beautiful melodic number that you know, tells this story and everything. And right now is definitely my favorite piece on here. The next track on here is almost tied to that, in that it also opens with a very cool, beautiful piano piece, as opposed to the keyboard, synthesizer, Hammond, or that sort of stuff. It's called King of Delusion. And while it starts with that, it later develops into this really killer groove. Probably has the best groove on the album on that track. Track 6 is Fall to Ascend. And that's the one that's got the Mike Portnoy drum intro on it that is really quite great. And then, of course, moves into this, you know, cool, kind of quiet groove that then builds with some sort of classic rock elements to it, a la like Rainbow or something like that. And then the next track, number 7, Resurrection Day on here, has some really cool odd time signatures to it. It's totally what you'd expect on here, you know, from guys of this ilk and class and so forth. And then the final track on here is maybe my other favorite track. It's called New World Today. It's a 16-minute track. That's the one that's got the really beautiful guitar work from Bumblefoot on it, opening melodic work that builds into an amazing you know, moment for the close of the album on here. And you know, definitely it's a beautiful, epic track that it is. So you've got 8 tracks on here, 60 minutes, some really great prog rock and prog metal stuff on here. So this second album, really good, highly recommended. But just real quickly, I'll go through this just so you can see what it is. That's the front. There's the back side of it. You can see track listing for the beginning, and then the second disc that's there. It's on Inside Out Music again, and shared by Sony. There's the open there, and then you can see the 2 discs. And I like it when they've got 2 different CDs, so it's not just the same art on both ones, it's different. I'm gonna pop out the discs here so that you can see what's behind it, because it's got pictures of the guys on it. So we've got Sheehan, Portnoy, you know, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, you've got Sheeran there, and you've got Soto there, right? And then I'll pull out the booklet here just so you can check that out real quick. There's the booklet. And it's just lyrical stuff on the inside, so I'm not going to really thumb through the whole thing. There you go. And then it's got some cool photos of the guys in here towards the end, close-up shots and everything of each of the guys. And there you go, ending on Sheehan. And so in conclusion of this, I will just say that while it is written by Derek Sherinian, Mike Portnoy, and Ron Thal on here, and it's roughly the same structured writers that were on the first album, The first album I felt like I really heard Billy Sheehan on it, and I heard his bass playing and whatnot, and it really came out in the forefront to me. I don't feel like I hear that on it. I actually had to double check and make sure he was even still part of this lineup. I don't mean that in any negative way. I just don't hear him out in the forefront the way that I did on the first album. And remember, I described the first album as being more of a individual musicians coming together and still hearing those guys compete, whereas on this is much more band effort. So maybe that was part of that idea where they're really coming together and gelling, and so some of that stuff does move to the background in order to get that effect. But there you go. First release of 2020, or at least major release of 2020, and you've got Sons of Apollo, the 2020 release, 2 CD Deluxe Edition. All right, hope everyone enjoyed this, and if you did, please comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.